Okay, so I'm glad to have all of you here, and I see so many familiar faces that have helped evolve the Student Leadership Conference over the years. So I want to first and foremost thank you. You know who you are. So it's a team, it's a group of people that really help adapt and be flexible for our students over the years for a Student Leadership Conference. So I want to take us a walk through a little history, a little timeline of the Student Leadership Conference in a graph right here. Back in 2004, 2007, you can see on the top the attendance. The average attendance was about 20 students. I went back to the files because the Student Leadership Symposium wasn't under Student Affairs at that time. It was, we inherited it back in 2013. It was kind of dropped in our lap. And everything was done already in 2013, and then we took it from there in 2014. So just with that context, that may help. And then over time, you can see the evolution over time of the attendance and all the elements that our team, our committee, our students, our planners have helped develop over the years. And we have a lot of firsts, right, in our Student Leadership Conference, starting pretty much in 2016, or since 2014. One of the first was our students led the branding and logo design, which was great. In 2016-17, we had a graphic art faculty help us do that, and I'll talk more about that, the nuts and bolts. We're just doing a snapshot right now. And then another first was having students co-present with staff and faculty. And some of you were co-presenters with some of our students year after year. Thank you. And we had students take on a few more leadership roles. And then after hearing some feedback from students, from the post-conference student focus group, which we added and heard back from students, we added a lot more in 2019, right? After a lot of feedback. And we introduced awards, student leadership awards, introduced in 2020, the acknowledgement of the Student Distinguished Alum of the Year, had a little celebration at the award portion of the conference then, but we also had an alum, distinguished alum, actually give a keynote way back, like in 2017-ish, a luncheon keynote. So we've had a lot of developments along the way. I'll just briefly, you can just see here, we've had presentation pitch videos, theme decor led by students, a spring leadership series that led up to our fall conference so we can help promote the student leadership series and get students excited about what's coming up in the fall. Just a lot of different things, but a big change in 2021 is the switch from a day conference just for one day to a 2-day conference happening in the late afternoon and evening time. And you'll hear more about that later in our nuts and bolts portion. But that had a lot to do with some success we had in 2020 with our student leadership series, and especially in 2021 with our student leadership series. So just a lot of great development over the years. And I'm going to move on to the nuts and bolts of the Student Leadership Conference. So here we can dive into a little more detail about the conference. So I just have to say, it's been a privilege over the last 8 years working alongside advisors, committee members, and co-chairs when planning the conference. For the last few years, Robin has been my co-chair and has been there to help me bounce off ideas, tackle any challenges, and just be there to make some final decisions together alongside our committee members But it's just been so important to have that core, that committee, that co-chair in developing things. And one of the first things we do, besides budget, right, is to plan the structure of the program, right? What's the date of the event? When is it going to happen? How long is it going to happen? So I'm going to step you through a little bit of history of the various programming we've had over the years. Okay, in 2014, we had the conference in August, late August, and you can see the conference based on this program was shorter, 8:30 till noonish. It had some breakout sessions and some repeated. So it was pretty small conference, but still very impactful to students. The upside of having a conference in late August perhaps was for the students because they weren't in their fall classes yet. So they weren't feeling the stress of assignments and deadlines, except the deadline to enroll, which brings us to the downside. Okay, so advisors, navigators, that's peak time, right? Advisors, when students are coming to you for advice, trying to get their program settled, getting the jitters out of their system for if they're a first-time college student, right? Or even if if they haven't been in college for a while, they'll stop out and coming back. So that's a crucial time. So it was hard to get involvement from staff and faculty at that time to be part of the conference. So let's speed up to 2018. And this conference, you can see, we made some adjustments. Instead of offering it in August, we thought, oh, beginning of November, nice time of the year. The weather's not too bad yet. Faculty, staff, advisors, pretty good sweet spot for them to get involved. And so we've had it in November. We had it in November for quite a few years until we heard some feedback from students. But as you can see from 2014, how we over doubled, the sessions that were offered, the time span from 10 to 4 p.m. We had a few more elements, a professional photographer, a mingle bingo activity that some staff put together just for more networking, because we were hearing that in the feedback that students wanted to network more. And a leadership panel. And prizes and awards. Well, prizes at this time, the awards happened as well. I believe in 2019, we really kicked off the awards. But now moving forward, let's jump a couple of more years to the virtual program, right? So this is where we've had changes and evolution throughout the time, but nothing like COVID tossed our way. Right? So we had to be so flexible. And thank goodness we had a student leadership series in 2020 in the springtime in February. It was supposed to run February, March, and April and celebrate in May. And the first session in February, the leadership series session, we had it face-to-face. It's great. Nancy Conrad, one of our faculty members, was the session presenter on self-awareness. And we thought, this is awesome. And then COVID hit and it was like, we're not going to be on campus. You need to switch it up again if you're going to continue the series. So we thought, we took a deep breath, right, Robin? And we thought, okay, so we can change, we can shift, because the students started, they were committed. We had good attendance, 10 students show up, and even a few more interested. And so we thought, okay, let's learn Zoom. Literally, we had to learn Zoom. We hadn't used it. And we helped our faculty member that was presenting get up to speed with that. And you guys know how that feels, right? We all had to be brought up to speed with Zoom. And so the big takeaway was just jumping and saying yes to a shift and flexibility positioned us to be confident in saying yes to delivering the Student Leadership Conference virtually via Zoom in 2020 without hesitation. We were excited by that time because The students persisted in the student leadership series in 2020, but in 2021, they not only persisted, I mean, we grew the student leadership series in the spring in 2021 by 99%. So, and we had a great completion rate too. So out of those students, out of 12 students that participated, or excuse me, out of 20 students that participated, 15 completed, which is huge for the 2021 Student Leadership Series. And we didn't let that momentum go to waste, right? So at that time, we were marketing the Student Leadership Series. We were telling the 2020 Student Leadership Series was on the book, The 9 Virtues of an Exceptional Leader, which the co-author of that book actually led a session, and he's coming back to the Student Leadership Conference this fall. So see how we have that segue? And that's what we were working for. That's what we did in 2020. We had a segue from our a book discussion about a book discussion from the book that our keynote Gary Clark wrote, Unlikely Viking. In 2020, we had that book discussion that led up to his keynote in the fall of 2020. And we did it again, like I mentioned, 2021, the 9 virtues of an exceptional leader. Rob Jenkins is the co-author, and he's coming to our Student Leadership Conference this fall. So my point is continuity, segues, and build up, for the fall conference. That's been our efforts in 2021. When we missed the ability to network with our advisors, faculty, staff in person on campus, we had to find a different way, to create an online buzz. And so this is one way we did it, besides using our MyHub engagement portal to create all of these sessions and events, these virtual sessions events. That was very helpful too.
I just want to interject one second and just add that prior to 2019, this yearly student leadership conference that was held in November for those years really grew and became a very professional experience for students. One of our goals was, we'd have breakout sessions, and it would be like a real, professional experience for students to experience what it would be like to go to a conference. They had to register ahead of time. They had to, we had keynote speakers. And I think that all of that work we did and all of the success that we did, then when the pandemic came along in 2019 and 20, we had, I think that the good work we did before was really helping to sell students on our virtual student leadership conference, because some of them had experienced it the year before and it was a great conference. So we came out really well with that first virtual conference.
Well, and Robin says we came out very well. The success, I believe, is pulling it off, and was our attendance really high? Not what we had wanted, but everybody was in all kinds of sorts in 2020, right? So we're being gracious too, because it's just harder to pull. It was just hard to pull things off in 2020, but we did it. And, a lot of it's just putting in the effort, being flexible, being adaptable. And that's what really, I think, shown in the efforts of the committee and the people involved in our co-presenters and our students that showed up and co-presented and everything. So yeah, we have growth to do in 2021, no doubt, for our attendance for our virtual program. We're looking forward to seeing that chart next year expand, that growth expand. Okay, so now looking at 2021, which I've already mentioned, virtual, we're having it in the evening time, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. because I forgot to tell you, our student leadership series that was in 20 and 2021 In 21, we offered it from 5:30 p.m. till 7 p.m. on a Friday night. I don't know what you guys were doing on a Friday night. You don't have to put it in chat, but our students were showing up to go to the Student Leadership Series. 20 students one time in one of our sessions showed up on a Friday night. And 15 went to all 4 sessions. That's telling you something, right? About programming. Why aren't we doing things on a Friday night? And the students were saying, no, Friday nights are good. If I want to go, if I want to do this, this is a perfect time for them. I mean, they could choose to go out and be with their friends or to develop themselves. And those that want to do that will show up. We have evidence of that. So we switched the programming to Thursday and Friday evening for 2021. So that's a big shift. Okay, so the next is after programming, how do we engage students? And I talked about this a little bit, but faculty, students, advisors, staff, everybody at the college, it's important that we're all engaging students, of course, and leading up to the Student Leadership Conference, pointing them to this opportunity because, it's about relationships. If they don't hear it from us, they probably won't take that extra click or seek out to just put it on their calendar. But hearing from the faculty and other students and advisors and staff referrals is great. And we also made some extra effort over the years by having graphic art faculty instructors partner with us and suggest students and nominate students to be our designers. For a couple of years we did this. It was a great experience for the students, for us, and what great work they did. And it worked towards their advantage, their class project. But we even had one of the students, if you see at the very bottom, one of our coordinators Naomi, some of you may know her, a lot of you probably do, but she's wearing this program that the student developed. And it's like a pocket program. Before we were having large printout programs, kind of like a half-page size. And that was feedback from one of our student designers saying, you really need a pocket program, something they can put in their pocket, something they'll want to keep because it's novel, it's cute, it's tiny, but readable. And so the committee actually had a little pushback on this idea from the student. And so we navigated through that. We opened it up for her to persuade us, and she did. She did her pitch, and she persuaded us. So we gave an alternative for people that needed a larger print. We had a larger print type of 2-sided sheet paper, for the program. But this little pocket calendar that was done by this student also served as a name badge. So it was quite useful. And it had elements to it, like in the back, there was a place for students to network and put in names and emails, plus places to take notes and to read about the sessions and the speakers. So that was great. And then we had a student that was a prototype lab student and said, I'd like to design the tabletop decorations. So she did that. That was a lot of work. And she did that in the prototype lab. Had a few student volunteers, but ended up doing a lot on her own. That's part of the learning process, is like delegating or getting buy-in from other students to help see your project through. But it was a great experience, a great piece of art on the tables, and just one way students got involved and got the prototype lab staff and coordinator involved too. So they ended up coming to the conference, seeing what it was all about, and learned a little more about it too. And then the traditional ways you engage students with emails, news articles. You'll see more videos that we do, little video promos. and students referring other students. And I've hit upon everybody referring everybody to the conference. So I'm going to, the next element that we used for encouraging students to participate was opening it up in 2017 to co-presenters, students that would co-present with staff and faculty. So instead of me explaining it, I'm going to let Brian and Ashley explain it.
I'm Brian O'Malley.
Hi, and I'm Ashley Hill.
And we're asking everyone to submit a proposal with a student. So a faculty, staff, and student together in order to create a presentation that really shares what students want and need for leadership development as they go forward. Your topic can be presented on whatever you choose. There's some examples on MyHub, which you can find the link to below on the screen. But they can range from managing conflict to leading with your strengths. Ashley and I are going to put together a proposal. We don't really know what yet, but what are you thinking?
Maybe about taking what I'm learning in school, in the classrooms, and applying it in the real field of culinary.
Oh, that'd be fantastic, right? So lessons from class out in the world.
Out in the world.
That's awesome. And so we're going to put together a proposal. We hope you do too. It can be on in any format that you want. You can do a panel discussion. You can do a hands-on workshop. It's really up to you, but you got to submit a proposal. Good luck.
Okay, just seeing the pictures of those students, doesn't that just make you long for the day we have our blended conference, which we look forward to in 2022, all right? So we were hoping to pull it off this fall, but thought best to set us up for success by doing it virtual again this fall and next fall, with the eye of doing blended next year in 2022. So you can see we needed to market the call for proposals, which we are soon going to market more in My Way for this year. But we market it across the college, and we market the Student Leadership Conference across the college in various ways, and are always open to more ways to market, right? And fresh ideas. But one way to market it is to have a catchy theme. And over the years, our Student Leadership Committee has helped us shape the themes. And last year, we put a poll out and inventory out to ask students their feedback about the theme. And so 2020 vision, leadership in the new decade. And the 2021 theme, we polled the students about, or anybody actually, as faculty, staff, or students, and they selected can't stop, won't stop, learning to lead. And so we're looking forward to playing with that theme this year. Now, another way that we promoted across the college was through pretty efficiently, Lead Marketing came up with this idea. Tickets, or actually, I believe it was our student from back in 2016, 17, came up with the concept of printing tickets or bookmarkers, like the size of bookmarkers, and double-sided, and then you could print like 5 per page, and it was very cost effective. We could print thousands of them at a very reasonable price with college printing. And so that was one way we marketed it. We marketed it by saying, free for NCC students and graduates. This has always been open to alums since we started in 2014. And we've really tried to get alum involved in various ways. But we wanted to see, as you can see on this ticket where the arrow is, the red arrow, the value we placed on the bookmarker ticket, $100. So student knows, so the student would know, what you're going to, it has a worth, right? And so that's just another way we marketed across the college. Oh, and I don't want to leave this slide without mentioning the branding. So in 2016 and 17, we had students developing the branding, and then with all the feedback from students in 2018, 2017, the new ideas emerging, we thought, oh my goodness, how are we going to manage all this change and still keep this element of constant change with our logo, right? Because I have to admit, it was time consuming for me to be the broker between the student and marketing, because marketing, I would share the students' ideas and marketing would say, well, this will work and this won't work. And then I'd have to go back and forth. And it was a good learning process for the student to see the client and then to see a second layer of client being the marketing department. And I thought, you know what, let's streamline this. Let's brand it. Branding has so many advantages, and marketing really was suggesting branding so they could support us. They wanted to support us and make this really successful. So they strongly encouraged the branding, and here we are today with the MCC Student Leadership Conference brand that you see below on this ticket. And that just helps us with our budget. It helps in so many ways, so we can focus on being more flexible with other aspects of the leadership conference. Okay, so another way we market the Student Leadership Conference, or we did market the Student Leadership Conference one year, was to have the students give pitches. This was in 2019. An idea came up from a committee member saying, why don't we have the students give like 90-second pitches about their session, and we can promote it in our engagement portal, and people can get a glimpse into their session before the day of the conference, kind of build a buzz, give some direction to students about what sessions they may want to attend. And so here's a pitch. We had lots of pitches submitted, but I can only have time to share one, so they're all good, but here's one.
Classmates and faculty of Metropolitan Community College. I am John Miner, and I will be hosting a breakout session at this year's Student Leadership Conference focused on 5 core complementary concepts I have observed, incorporated, and practiced during my 9 years in running on active duty in the United States Navy. In my time in service, I've had the privilege of working with fantastic leaders and also working for horrific ones. And these distinctions will be made clear about what I define as a fantastic and a horrific leader during the session. By attending my session, you will learn what I call the A, B, C, D, and E of leadership, which stand for act the part and be the part, believe in yourself, consistent behavior, decency is everything, and enable your replacements. During the session, we'll discuss these concepts, building upon one another, and ultimately describe not just how to become a leader, but how to become an impactful leader who builds up those around them and prepares the leaders of tomorrow, today. This session will involve open discussion with the audience, as your experiences are just as important as mine to developing our dialogue. I'm honored to be invited to speak amongst you, my peers, and hope to impact the way you view leadership as a verb, not just as a noun. Thank you.
So as you can see, having students promote their own sessions, it's just powerful, right? And it really gets people energized to want to go to that session or support that student. Also, when a student sends in a call for proposal and they're looking for a faculty or staff, we know how that feels, right? We don't want to say no to our students when they really want to gain leadership skills and practice before they get out into the workplace, or maybe they're currently in the workplace and they just want to improve themselves. So yeah, the call for proposal, I think, is a very powerful way to engage students and help them along their leadership journey, learning journeys. So as you can see, all the nuts and bolts, and I just quickly ran through some things, but it takes a lot of teamwork, a lot of planning, a lot of follow-up, a lot of nudging, right? to pull it off, but it's worth it. It's worth it, and evolving and being willing to change along with the needs that pop up. However, we can't neglect the financial support the college and our MCC Foundation has provided us over the years, because they have really helped make our conference a reality. And all the supervisors, like your executive directors and those that have other supervisors, say, yes, get involved with the Student Leadership Conference. That's huge, right? All that support is so essential. And I have to say, disclosing in the budget that you see right here on this timeline slide, that we have not incorporated the cost of the human element to this. So just keep that in mind. These are tangible expenses. You guys are intangible. You're irreplaceable, right? Like the human element of helping our students is sometimes it's hard to put a price on. Okay, so the basics, when I refer to this budget, the basics are like the food, the keynote speaker, the program, the print materials. So in 2015, you can see the budget, $3,523, that paid for the keynote speaker too. And in 2016, we had more people, but we were able to come under budget. I think we reused some things we had in 2015 that helped us a bit, that helped us. And oh, I forgot to mention t-shirts. That was part of the budget too, the t-shirts. In all of these years, those are the basics that we used, and we just built and added things to the budget. I have to say the MCC Foundation, especially in those early years when we were on training wheels, so to speak, having a bigger budget and growing the conference, they helped us with a grant, to write a grant so we could have our keynote speaker. And actually the grant was like for $3,000 in 2015. So that money that you see, only $523 came out of operational because of the work of the foundation and our partnership. And in 2016, the foundation helped us again. And in 2017, 2018, we still include the foundation, but we are more self-sustaining with our operational fund. We have a very supportive vice president for student affairs and our vice president for academic affairs supporting the conference in various ways, not only showing up, making comments, closing comments, remarks, and support, but also allowing us to keep the conference in our budget, right? And to grow our budget when there seems to be a need, or to try something different and expand. Especially, you can see the expansion of the budget in 2019, but leading up to that, we once we had our logo established in 2018, we can actually buy a lot of t-shirts with the same logo, maybe change the color of the t-shirt, but that really helped us to be able to order more t-shirts in bulk and save on price. And we ordered these large pull-up screens, which those from Metro have seen around campus and most campuses. And we have little tabletop pull-ups too. So we purchased those, that increased our budget. And then in 2019, we wanted to provide our students with an experience at the Institute for Culinary Arts. In 2018, we had the in 17 and 16 and 15, we were at the South Campus, and the conference facility improved over time. We're so grateful for that. But we thought in 2019, we wanted to offer the students the Institute for Culinary Arts experience with their amazing food, right? So we partnered with them. We had chefs involved with breakout sessions. They provided, like I said, tasty food. Don't get me started on food. I'll never end this session. But that was great. But it came at quite a big cost. It like over doubled our food budget by having it at the Institute for Culinary Arts. But well worth it. We bought a step and walk. You guys know what that is. It's like a back screen. you've seen it on the red carpet for Grammy Awards, the step and walk screen behind with the logo. So we bought one of those and used it in 2019. And then in 2020, whoa, look at the budget, $2,300. A lot of that went into our keynote speaker, book supplies, the captioning, closed captioning. So there you have it. The nuts and bolts of our budget over time. Now, the budget is important to stay on focus, right? Stay on budget. But we also need to stay focused, and we stayed focused on serving our students by hearing from them. And Jen did an amazing job with this focus group after one of our student leadership conferences. And from there, I have to say, we launched all those components you saw on the timeline. A lot of them we tried to incorporate and shift and change. So we went from a November program to an early October program. Well, actually we tried a late September program. Or like right after, it was like October 3rd. It was really early. And that was taxing on our staff, I believe, because it was so soon after the quarter started. And so we now changed it to like October 7th, 8th, not quite end of September or 1st of October, but around that time. But all of those changes happened because we heard not only form feedback from the paper forms after the conference, but Jen, as I was saying, led this focus group. And I just want you to get a little glimpse of what this look and sound like, because students are passionate about helping other students grow, and here are their words.
This is your guys' dream leadership conference. What does it from the start of this conference to the end of this conference? What does this look like to you guys?
I think recognition is a big thing.
Okay,
There's lots of students on
Awesome
the
idea.
dean's list or with like 3.5s or 4.0s.
Recognition
Or
of academic, right?
I don't think it should just be based off academics either. I mean, stuff that you're doing, like volunteering outside of school. Like, what are you involved with? Not even including MCC, but you're able to juggle being like full-time mom. Like, that should be still appreciated. Like, the fact that you're juggling this job and with your personal life too.
It's inspiring students that come from other countries to learn and to adapt to the environment.
Diversity efforts, that's good. What else do we have?
Team had required.
Okay, for the sake of time, I mean, this is a long one, 7 minutes. So I'm gonna jump because I want you guys to have time to ask questions or give ideas, or I want you to have time at the end of our session, so.
What's your number?
Or how frequently. So that way it kind of balances itself out in case there's a group that has a low amount of people in it, but they go very often.
Right now they're talking about awards and how do they decide, what are the determining factors of who gets an org club award? And so they really gave it a lot of thought.
Clubs and orgs that are getting these awards, we're here to connect them, right?
We have
Hey,
the
this is
tracking on there
cool.
anyways. We've got the check-in app thing. So I mean, that could definitely help us track too of how many people are actually showing up, which person actually showed up for the event too.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already got that going.
We could do that.
We just got to push that out a little bit more.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's a great thing.
Awesome.
What'd you think?
It all sounded fluid.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
All right, guys, we got a pretty good list. Yeah. What do you think?
Good. Got a lot of ideas.
Lots of really good ideas.
I dig it.
All
All right, cut.
right. Thanks, guys.
Okay, so yeah, that focus group really helped us launch some ideas and put them into the works for the next year. So with that, yes, stay focused on budget, students, and our co-curricular mission. Now, did you, Metro folks, are you aware of our co-curricular mission? that was just developed in 2019, and you'll see it in the end of my email. I'm trying to promote that co-curricular mission at the end of my email signage, but you can see it right here. And then with that in 2019, the co-curricular mission statement was developed to meet the HLC, Higher Learning Commission initiative to have internal program reviews. And so we were fortunate, the Student Leadership Conference was fortunate to have to be selected. We were selected to be one of the internal program review groups, right? And so with that, we needed to shore up our student leader mission statement, which we had a purpose statement, but we needed to shore that up so it could sustain the goal of the mission statement, the objectives and the outcomes, the measurable outcomes. And so we had to take a shift. You know, in the past, we had basic feedback forms asking, what'd you like best? What did you like least? What would you like to see next year? Those general statements, which are important, and we still ask those questions. But with the outcomes, the measurable learning outcomes, we honed in on specific objectives and outcomes. And that's what I'm going to share with you next, because this just started in 2019, right? So 2019 was face-to-face, as I've mentioned, but 2020 was virtual. So we had to add a few more measurable outcomes just to address the virtual aspect of the conference. Now, when we go in, we'll have 2021 to compare, right? Apples and apples, the conference. But 19 and 20 are in apples to apples because of the virtual aspect. And then 2022 will be a whole different baseline of data because it will be a blended conference. So yeah, we'll work through that. We have some very great people that help us navigate through that in the college, named Nina Nazar and Julie Ashley and Holly Lander have been great at helping us, being part of helping us through that. And Kim Shookman too, when it all started in 2019. So with that, let's dive into that data, that impact that we saw, that we measured. Okay, like I said, we're gonna look at 2019 and 2020. As a result of participating, students said they enhanced their skills 85% in 2019, and in 2020, 83%. So we had a dip, a 2% dip in that. And you can see 85% gained knowledge, 83% the same, felt they gained knowledge, that a little dip in the virtual conference delivery. But most significantly, we took a big dip in meeting our goal of having them integrate knowledge, right? Compared to 2019 and 2020. Zoom, yeah, it was significant. The 67%, that's a significant dip. And that was when they agreed, 67% of the students agreed or strongly agreed that they gained valuable information that would assist them as leaders, assist them as leaders on and off campus and in Oregon clubs, integrate knowledge gained into their club, organization, or career. That was the focus, integrate organization or integrate knowledge gained into their org club, organization, or career. Oh, it made my heart skip a beat in Robbinston when we saw that 67%. But I think it isn't a far stretch to conclude that the off-campus COVID Zoom environment, Zoom only org club interactions in 2020 had a negative impact on how the students felt about it in the fall of 2020, integrating what they've learned into their orgs and clubs. Because think about it, and maybe you're not aware of this, but we have 31 student org clubs. prior to COVID and currently in COVID, but a lot of those 31 student clubs went into they're dormant, right? They just took a pause during COVID. And however, 8 out of the 31 student org clubs did not skip a beat during COVID in 2021. In fact, they were posting leadership opportunities, online member events, and celebrations. You know, I can mention #Be Kind did some events. Cybersecurity, the Ethical Hacking Club really kept strong. Every month they had something going on. And then the real champion, the Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society, excelled beyond their past efforts during this COVID time with engaging students with online platform, social hours, they had the induction online, posted encouraging articles. The students did, not the advisors. The students posted encouraging articles and kept members up to date with news articles. And this was all student led for the most part. Yep. So I think that needs to be noted, but definitely COVID had a huge impact on that number. That would be my theory of why that number dipped so much. Now let's look at that felt included. This is interesting. So face-to-face in 2019, 85% of the students said they felt included, which met our goal. Our goal was 85% of the students responding that way, feeling strongly about the statement or, you know, strongly agreeing or agreeing. But in 2020, during COVID, during the virtual Zoom conference, 100% felt included. And you could draw a lot of conclusions to that. Perhaps students were just so hungry to interact and be part of something. That could be. And another aspect could be that there were so many great opportunities for students to ask questions during the leadership panel, and we had a Q&A for the keynote speaker. And most of all, at the end of the conference, we had a post session about what would you like? Okay, now that was great. Now what? What's next? And so this post session, led by Lindsay Spostat and Liz, had students gathering together, just talking about, okay, what's next? What can we do next? What did you learn from today, and how can we take this further? Those were students talking with students, and I think that probably, those students that responded to the survey, they probably felt that was probably a big factor of them feeling included. So like I mentioned before, we needed to add, before we jump to that, I'm jumping ahead. Okay, so students demonstrating leadership. So in 2019, our committee had students on it. Our goal was to have 10% of the committee be students. We had 15% of the committee were students. But in 2020, 0%. And that is because since we were in this new world, this COVID world, we had to make a change on our committee. Instead of having, we've had a large committee, then we kind of had a little smaller committee, but in 2019, it was huge. And in 2020, we decided, this is uncharted territory, right? To have an online conference. So perhaps we better keep our committee small, right? And there's so many people, like advisors, navigators, quite capable of juggling a lot of things, but we didn't want to tax them with an additional conference obligations beyond just helping the day of the conference. Because of everything that was swirling around us during the COVID time, and everybody juggling, working from home, dealing with what they needed to do in their life and their priorities. And we just were we wanted to give some grace to some past committee members, and really are looking forward to bringing them on in 2022, right? because when we meet face to face, here we go. We're going to ramp it up and really want to involve more people being on the planning and making it happen for that day, like we've had in the past. So that's why you see 0% for students. Now, as far as presenters, student presenters, 43% 2019. We did have a dip in 2020, 30% student presenters. Okay, and there are various conclusions you can make to that. Maybe Zoom fatigue, oh, I've never done a Zoom leadership session. I don't know why that dip, but we'll move on. Probably the promotion.
Shonda, I just want to make sure you know we got about 5 minutes left.
Oh, okay. And then we're close to our end. Students' online experience, 100% said it was meaningful interactions being online in 2020. The online experience itself, 83%. I have to say some students had technical problems. A downside is when you have it online, it is accessible to online students and a lot of people, but if they don't have good internet connections, the accessibility is a challenge. So that's something to consider. That's why we're looking forward to a blended conference in 2022. Now we're at the end of our session. And here's some recommendations for those that are at other colleges looking to have a conference or future committee members. Align your student leadership conference with your college's co-curricular mission and goals, like I mentioned in our internal program review with the outcomes and the feedback forms. Be careful what you ask for. So when we did an interest inventory, that's when we had a committee of 28 people showing up at one of our committee meetings or at our first committee meeting. It was great. It was wonderful, but just be ready to manage that, right? All the committee and all the ideas and everything. It's a great challenge to have. Go beyond feedback forms, focus groups, collaborate with faculty and students, develop creative ways to engage students with videos and events, which we gave you evidence of, some ideas about. Most of all, the big takeaway is just be flexible, right? So I want to thank you. And Robin, I know I'll bring you back. Robin, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
And so we have a minute or two for Q&A. And there's our email. If you want more information, details, I'd be happy to email them to you.
I had one quick question.
Sure.
It's kind of a two-part, but it should be a quick and easy one. So with the student presenters, when you did that process, the student faculty presenters in that area, did you give them a specific topics to pick from that they would speak on? And then also what was their time frame? Was it 30 minutes or was it a full hour session?
Oh, good question. So we evolved. Okay, to answer your question about, yes, there's the theme, of course, and then we give them some ideas, some leadership topic ideas. And from that, then we give them an option. There's a submission for a call for proposal form. And in that form, there's an option for them to put other topics that they want to propose. Yes, so, and then the time, we've had it 50 minutes. We've had it an hour and 30 minutes. We've had it an hour and 15. We've switched it up a bit. This fall, we're gonna do it for an hour. An hour and 30 minutes just seemed too long, but it seemed perfect for our students that had hands-on engagement activities and in their face-to-face session. So it really varies depending on the type of delivery. If it was a lecture, yikes, that's getting into territory when you're with students. We've heard from some students saying, oh, I've heard lectures from my faculty, in the class. I want to engage and have more engaging kind of sessions. So that's why we kind of kept it, because we have some blended lecture sessions and some more engaging sessions. Yeah, I would say a good spot is at least 60 minutes. We're going to go for 70 minutes this year, or 75 minutes, yeah. 75 minutes this year.
Okay, no, I appreciate it. No, thank you for the information.
Yep, and they can always end their session early, right? If they don't go 75 minutes, so I'd like to, yeah. Any other questions? And Alex, if you want me to email you or form or do anything like that, just let me know, because I'd be happy to share any resources with you.
No, I appreciate it. Now, I've got a call for proposal form. I just was trying to think through this a little bit more. So hearing from you today definitely helped a lot, just because we want to integrate more student involvement in it versus just being attendees, but being more active participants. And so I was thinking about a panel, some other things, but I like the idea of them working with maybe a faculty member or from a student organization to present on things that they found to be successful. Our conference is more on diversity and inclusion, but I want to melt in that leadership because I think that's just natural and a great way to do that. So no, I appreciate everything.
And Alex, one thing we could do, we could work on an area is to, you know, when they work with the faculty, we're hoping the faculty is coaching them on presentation and everything, but having sessions leading up to how to give a presentation and not rely on the faculty or their co-presenter to do that. You know, because I've stepped in sometimes and helped a faculty member, just like, could you help point us? You know, and I think we could develop some more structure for that to set everybody up for success with co-presenting. If we had some tutorials or at least some videos of tutorial that we offer our co-presenters before they dive in, so we don't put all the burden on the faculty or staff that's co-presenting, because they have a whole other job to do, right? So something to think about. Anything else? We just really appreciate you listening. I threw a lot of information at you pretty rapidly, and there's so much more, but hopefully you were able to just to get a glimpse into the world of Student Leadership Conference here at Metro.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Shonda and Robin. It was wonderful to hear about this topic. I want to encourage everyone to join us next for a little bit of a yoga break and stretch from sitting most of the day. And then we will be finishing up today's sessions at 3:15. Yoga is at 2:30. So be sure to get a little bit of a stretch in, and hopefully we'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.